All right, so who's heard of Second Brain? Just quick hands up if you have. Great, good to hear it's getting out. All right, so basic Second Brain is how, Andre Karpathy introduced the idea that we can all get probably 10 times more use out of AI and Claude and ChatGPT and these wonderful things we pay for. So I've built Second Brains for most different things that I do, running different businesses that I run, or my hobby, which is just investing in stocks, or even I've put some good YouTube videos out about spirit sales. So anyone selling gins to pubs, and how they would have a second brain, which does a lot of their work. So this one is going to be about stocks and actually sort of the setup and how it all works and how it can be applied to anything you do in your life. So the first thing is that you're going to move from the chat tab to the code tab. So with Claude, I just use Claude. I don't really use the other ones. It costs £15 a month. That's the first thing to know if you're into the free subscriptions. If you want to do this sort of stuff, you're going to have to pay a little bit more. It's worth it. It really is. So I can't remember the last time I used the chat tab, to be honest. Everything I do is in the code tab. And it's not just for code, which is great. And then, so the basic idea is you have Claude Code here on the left, Obsidian here on the right. And basically, they're just engaging with each other. So Claude Code is where you specify your plugin. So it's sort of your skills, it's your tasks, it's what you want, like the actions you want to happen. So it might be researching something, it might be preparing a report, it might be analyzing a transcript, it could be whatever you want. All these different actions, you sort of turn them into a plugin and then it becomes a role, you could say. And then it's just reading, writing, searching Obsidian, which is just your memory. It's where all of your texts and files and everything lives, right? So if you're making YouTube videos, it could be where your transcripts are. It's if you're managing contracts, it could be where all of your contracts live as PDFs maybe, right? It's just a vault of knowledge. And that vault of knowledge just makes sure that your AI knows what you want and where to get stuff from. It's pretty handy. So the idea is it's just going to read and write to a vault you can see. Your knowledge vault grows over time. You own it. It's on your laptop. No other big tech American company owns your knowledge vault. It just sits there on your laptop in plain text. It's beautiful. And then it grows over time. It's auditable. You can just open it and go, why did you give me this stupid answer? Oh, it says this in my knowledge vault. And it's plain files on a laptop. It's private. No one else can access it. It's not even on the internet. It's fast and it's incredibly token efficient. So if you've heard all of these people talking about MCP servers, basically MCP servers are just really token inefficient ways of just doing what you could do with plain text on your laptop. They have their place, but if you just want to, basically create a lot of value, do a lot of actions using your information very quickly, you probably don't need MCP servers. You can probably do it with all of the information which Claude is reading and writing from on your laptop. And it's reliable because it's running the same skills every time. A skill is just a prompt, like a long prompt. Could be a very long prompt if you get Claude to write a really long, detailed one, which does whatever task you want. And it's just repeating the same skill every time, which means that it's reliable, it's doing the same thing every time, and Claude updates itself. So you can tell it when something is broken in your skill and it needs to change. So I'm going to give some examples of that as well. And basically Claude is building all of this for you. You're just telling it in plain text. It builds the plugin, it builds the vault, and it updates the plugin, it updates the vault. It's doing all of this for you. You don't need to be technical, and it is pretty straightforward. So basically with my stocks, we just, it just gives me ideas, it researches things, and it stops me from making stupid decisions. It seems to be working. It might not work forever, but we'll see. So now we're going to go into the vault. So this is what a vault looks like, right? So you can see here that we have a nice visual of, basically all of my knowledge, right? Which sits here. And I can say, I want to look at different themes. So this is visualizing the links. So obviously Claude is creating all of these links for me between all of my data in the vault. It does all of this itself. And you can see the structure of my vault. So you can see clippings is a really interesting one. So whenever I'm on the internet, I use a Chrome plugin called Obsidian Web Clipper, and I just click clip, and it just dumps it in my vault. And then I might ask Claude, because I did this with SpaceX. It was IPOing, and then basically I put a 60-page PDF out, a 60-page presentation. I wasn't going to read it, so I just click clip, put it in here, tell me about it. And then you use my plugin to sort of go, okay, actually, am I going to lose a lot of money here? Or, does it seem like a sensible thing? So I just dump all of these in here. And then it becomes useful things that Claude can then engage with. So, if you're doing transcripts or if you're doing marketing assets, you can dump anything you want in there easily from the internet. Even competitor stuff. I don't know. So if your competitor launches something or they write an article, you can just click clip, put it in there, and then you can analyze it. And then, this is my structure. Basically, it sort of runs from theses. So I like to just have ideas about where the world is going to go. So some of them are space, some of them are AI, some of them are energy related. And then it will just map it out into industries for me. And then it will map it out into companies for me. And then it will just sort of just dive into sort of different things and just say, this is what we think, and this is my recommendation, and it follows whatever methodology I'm interested in. So that's what this is doing. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You can open any of these up, and they're just going to produce reports, right? So it's just writing all of these really interesting things, getting information from whatever API that you're interested in, putting links in, saying where it exists in the supply chain. So it's just quite a cool thing you can do. And this is how it's evolved. So that's the vault. Then if we actually look at what this looks like in Claude Code, you can sort of see I'm just chatting to Claude here, right? I'm saying, look, SpaceX just went public. What do you think? What do you think the thesis is? It gives me different ideas as to what it thinks the thesis should be. And then I say, let's go for all three of them combined. Why not? And then basically it lets me map the industry out. So then it says, look, this is just an example, right? So you can see all of these forward slashes. So / industry map is what I give it. That's a skill, right, in my plugin. So then I'm sort of saying / industry map space launch. So then what it's going to do is it's going to follow my skill to then map that industry out and find all the companies and what's interesting and that sort of stuff. And then it just maps it out. It puts it in sort of nice Mermaid JS, which actually gives you nice graphs in Obsidian, gives me ideas. And then I'll do / company profile, right? So this is the evolution. It's basically, you can say, I want a plugin that's going to map through my day of work. And it can have different skills that you engage with to basically do your job or do your work or do whatever you're looking to do. So this is an example where it's gotten to a point where it's now researching a business based on its industry map, based on a thesis it came up with. And then it's reading and writing. So you can see basically here it's updating a file, right? So it looks like code, but it's just text. It's just making a report. And you don't really need to understand what any of it means because it's just doing it in the background. And then it's just giving you ideas, right? So that's what it looks like in Claude Code. And then, the idea of just engaging with it so that it is building your second brain for you. Again, this isn't a technical thing at all. It's just reading and writing and building these plugins for you. So here's just an example of the other day where I've got a Claude Code skill called Find New. It goes onto Reddit, it goes onto Twitter, it goes onto different blogs. And it just finds what people are talking about. And it just, finds interesting opportunities for me. And yesterday, they found out that Reddit is now blocking anonymous JSON access. So then that's not my problem. That's Claude's problem, right? So then I tell it, can you debug it? Cool. Then it's just sort of saying, you got to then create an application on Reddit. Can't really be bothered. Sounds painful. Maybe we should just drop Reddit. Great. So I tell it to go find other sources. So then it goes, here's other sources. And I'm like, these sound cool. Now you tell me, which ones we need to go for. So I say add all 5 to the skill. Why not? So then you can see it's just updating its own skill file, right? So it's updating its own skill file, and then it is testing itself, because I don't really want to test it. I think it should just test itself. And then I just run find new again, and then it creates the actual report for me. So it's pretty straightforward. It just something that you chat with in plain English, and you go back and forth with it, and it basically builds itself. And it can be tempting to look at Obsidian and go, okay, this is easy. I'm just going to add this paragraph here. But it's always better to just tell Claude to add the paragraph, or tell Claude to do things, because it creates the links easily, it creates the tables easily, it creates the graphs easily. So I just sort of live in that. So now, can you use ChatGPT or Gemini instead of Claude? Yeah, you can. I don't really know I think ChatGPT, they call it Codex. You can use Codex. Probably has the same sort of reading and writing from Markdown that Claude has. Gemini probably has something similar. What's the difference between using this and chat? Well, most of the people I speak to who have tried using AI and have gotten nowhere with it is because they just sort of complained that it's not doing what they tell it to do, and it's not following instructions, and it's doing stuff unreliably. And this is one way that I found to stop that. It is reliable because it is reading and writing from your information, and it's following some very detailed, prepared instructions every time, and it's updating these instructions as you tell it to if you want better skills. So yes, I found it significantly better than using chat, because I don't really know what it means when Claude Chat is telling me there's memory, and then it's answering as if there is no memory, and I can't really tell it why, or understand why it's working. But this, you can audit it, and you can go in and you can go, oh, that's why you just gave me a stupid answer. So now the fun one of MCP servers. Well, they're great. So you can use Google Drive, Notion, all of these other tools which store files and store your information. But the biggest difficulty is plain text on your laptop is really fast and really token efficient if you just use it plain Markdown in Obsidian. So you're going to get faster results, probably better. It's going to be able to search across your entire vault much faster, and it's going to use way less tokens. So using MCP servers has its place, right? For a lot of businesses which already run on Google Drive and Notion and Excel, it can be great, but in terms of for a lot of what you're trying to do, if you can just strip it all the way back down to Markdown and text, do it, because it's way more token efficient, way faster, and it's just better. Who else can use it? So product owners, transcripts, user interview transcripts, problems, solutions, assessing whether your product is, on the right track. Sales, prospecting, analyzing sales calls, generating reports, all these sorts of things. So I've got a YouTube video for Spirit sales teams because I used to work in Spirits. Marketing, so content strategy, optimization, connecting to YouTube, Instagram, all that sort of stuff, and probably most other jobs. And then one easy tip is actually, in order to basically have it analyze every conversation you have, just use the voice memos app on your phone if you have an iPhone. It records everything, and then Adobe Podcast is completely free. It will transcribe everything, detect speakers, and you can drop it straight into your Knowledge Vault. So then how do you do it? Very simple. Download Claude Desktop, download Obsidian, create a folder on your laptop. That's what you're going to work inside. Navigate to the folder in Claude Code. Then describe what you want. I often start with the plugin. I start with the vault structure often, and I say, here's how I think my information should be organized. Then describe the plugin that you want, so the different skills, the different tasks you want to happen. Have all of that happen in plan mode, approve the plan, and then just keep telling it where it's wrong. Just keep going, look, this skill's not great. Actually, maybe we should change the vault structure. Maybe we should change the properties. in the vault. You just sort of iterate. And then it gets to a point, hopefully, where it's good and it helps you. So that's it, really. That's everything. How's time? There we go. Cool.
Great timing. Fantastic. Really helpful. I'm going to follow that one. Questions? And please use the microphone if possible, because we're recording for the website.
Hiya. So obviously we talked about my YouTube channel and how I kind of pull transcripts and whatnot, but right now whenever I'm building skills, I do tend to use Cowork, but you said outright just no. I'm just curious, is there any benefit in using Cowork, or should you just use Claude?
Like for quite a long time before this AI stuff was a thing, like I was using NA10, which is like a great tool for automating things, on a schedule, connecting with different platforms. And then, they introduced the AI bits as well. And it's a lot, personally, for Cowork, I find NA10 is significantly better because it also has like a webhook receiver, which is incredibly useful for like customer support tickets or stuff where you want it to respond and not just run on a particular schedule. So I never got into Cowork because I was already using NA10 and it's just better, to be honest. But then where Claude Code is just much more useful is just because I don't mind doing a / and typing 3 characters and just letting it run for, a few minutes or an hour. Like it's something where I like to feel involved with it and I like to see it working and I like to see the output. So I've just never really had the need for Cowork. And I think, a lot of software developers that I know are pretty similar in the sense that they like to give it a task and then sort of watch it complete the task and then watch the output. So yeah, I don't have a task to give Cowork, but I'm sure maybe other people do. It's just not that useful for me.
It was great. Thank you very much. My co-founder today found that Apple voice memos are currently now doing full transcripts, so you can skip the bit with taking it through to Apple Podcasts. That's it.
Yeah, I'm interested in the balance of like future queries to Claude, like how the balance of where the information is coming from. So why would it go to your vault above and beyond the entire up-to-date internet and do a fresh search? And how do you balance the information coming in future?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. I do a lot of so I build software, right? So I've got like customers, and those customers, I have transcripts with them. Maybe one customer, I might have 10 transcripts with them, right? So that's information related to that customer, lots of information related to that customer of conversations I've had with them in the past. So then when I run a Claude Code skill, it knows that it can only get information about my past conversations with that customer by going to that customer.
So your proprietary chat, I can understand that. But when you're talking about your stock research on SpaceX, for instance, that feels like you wouldn't want to limit.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily limit it, but from what I've found, especially with earnings calls transcripts. So basically, companies have to report earnings every quarter. And basically, the transcripts from the earnings calls are actually far more interesting than anything else. Because people say things on these calls that they wouldn't put in a presentation, right? It's just kind of how these things go. And basically, if you can force Claude to review the transcript, it will review the transcript. Whereas if you allow it to go onto the internet, it probably won't. So I prefer to web clip the transcript and then say, this company just reported earnings. Let's look at the transcript and see if there's anything meaningful in here which is going to impact the price. That's kind of one example. But there are quite a few, yeah.
Yeah, and the final follow-on, and how much time do you put into the structure? Because I've seen quite a lot of chat about people approaching the structure of these vaults in different ways. So how much do you let Claude do that versus how much do you dictate what the structure of the vault should look like?
The structure, I would say, my structures are very simple, right? In terms of I just have an idea as to what I think would make a good investment. I like to find supply chains and say, if robots suddenly become incredibly popular, how does that map all the way down to materials in a mine, right? Because, there's these sort of interrelationships between these companies. And I find that that's something that I find incredibly useful. So I structure my vault based on that. I guided it towards that. It's a very simple structure. It just kind of goes thesis, industry map, company. People can do much more complicated ones, but it sort of depends, I guess, how much time you want to spend in it. I don't really want to spend that much time. This is kind of a hobby for me. I just kind of enjoy chatting with it and then, it's telling me when I'm being an idiot. But yeah, it's something which you can evolve with over time, and you can get it to change the structure at any point.
Great. One more question? One more?
It's just a quick one, really. Could you just touch on the graph visualization aspects of this?
Yeah. So, what do you want to touch on?
I've used Gephi in the past. I guess a first question would be, to what extent does this visualization inform your analysis, your questions? Are you looking at this and then sort of feeding it back? Can you just expand a touch on it?
So the visualization is kind of more just cool to look at. It's not actually that useful. But what it's doing is it's mostly showing you the links, right? So if I click into semiconductors, right, you can see all of these links. And these links, for me, I just find them useful. If I'm going, all right, I'm interested in semiconductors, it will create all of these links for you. And if it, when you think about it's just creating these, because it's Claude doing it, I'm not spending hours creating these reports of all these links. It just makes it easy to sort of click through things and just sort of go, you know what, I'm interested in clicking into this company and then seeing where they sit in sort of upstream and downstream supply chain, right? The links are just useful for me because I'm interested in the supply chains because I think that's a useful thing for me to invest my money based on. But it could be, in my business, it might be links between companies and employees and features, maybe feature requests, I don't know. But it's basically just really useful for Claude to be able to navigate the vaults using these links as well. Because I get the impression, and I don't necessarily know this because I didn't build Claude myself, that the links in Obsidian make it a lot easier for Claude to just follow and navigate information that it might need when it's giving you a response. And it seems to be pretty efficient at that. So all of my experience with this is just kind of I do it and I see, and then I'm like, okay, cool, that worked. And then that's kind of it. So yeah.
Amazing. How good is Claude as a stock picker? I
mean, it's been good for me, and it's not none of this is financial advice. So it's just a hobby. I'm interested in this stuff, so I built a second brain for it. And if you guys are interested, build your own second brains. And this is actually free on my GitHub. You can actually just download it. So you can download this whole Claude Code and second brain setup with all this information in it on my GitHub free of charge.